everyone, and welcome to Vegan with Jenn, a channel where we talk about diet and disease. So today I have the honor of having Dr. Michael Klaper here with us today on Skype to help us debunk the Paleo Diet. For those of you who are not familiar with Dr. Klaper's work, he is an accomplished clinician who has practiced medicine for over 40 years and currently serves on staff of the True North Health Center in Santa Rosa, California. Dr. Klaper is a leading educator and advocate for the plant-based nutrition as well as ending animal cruelty worldwide. He has been featured in several DVD, television, and radio programs and has released a book on cholesterol-free nutrition. He is dedicated to the healing and flourishing of all living beings and our planet. Dr. Klaper, thank you so much for being here.
It's very good to be with you, Jennifer. Thanks for the invitation.
So the Paleo Diet seems to be gaining popularity in the health and diet world. So if you're considering the Paleo Diet or currently eating the Paleo Diet, I want to start the video off by first saying that I'm not here to shame or insult anyone for following a certain diet, but rather we're coming from an understanding viewpoint, because I do understand why someone might want to do the Paleo Diet and why it might make sense on a fundamental level, and I respect people who took the time to research and even find this diet. However, there are some dangers to this diet, and I have Dr. Klaper here with us today to help us debunk the diet by spreading some really good information on the real truth behind the reasoning of this diet and to talk a little bit about some dangers. So first off, an overview. The diet is themed to eat like a caveman. So with any diet, there are a lot of variations, but in general, this means no to cereal grains, legumes, dairy, refined sugar, potatoes, processed foods, refined vegetable oils, and salt. But it means yes to grass-produced meat, fish, seafood, fresh fruits and vegetables, eggs, nuts, and seeds. So Dr. Klaper, my first question for you. The basis of the diet is to eat like a caveman, but did cavemen actually eat this way and eat this amount of meat?
So I'm so glad we're discussing this topic for so many reasons. And I'm so glad that you said that very open and accepting statement at the beginning. There's no judgment here. Everybody's trying to do the best they can for their own health. Everyone has a desire to get back to our natural state of beings, and it's a pure desire that motivates people's food choices. And as you also pointed out, there's a general belief now that if we ate like our caveman ancestors did, then that's the most natural way to eat and we're going to be healthy. Well, the problem starts right off the bat in that we are trying to eat like we think the caveman ate so many thousands of years ago. Well, it turns out that our image of the caveman with the macho man with the long beard and the leopard skin clothing garb there, with a big club in one hand and this woman by the hair in the other hand dragging her into the cave where they've got their freshly killed tyrannosaurus or mammoth in the cave there, and then they spend all day eating animal flesh. In truth, is not the reality of what our Paleolithic ancestors ate. The reality is, this may be our image, but if you shine the light of science on what our Paleolithic ancestors really ate, if you take the trouble to go to Africa, like anthropologist Nathaniel Dominy did from Dartmouth University, you find some interesting things. One is when you examine the fossilized fecal droppings, yes, there are such things, they're called coproliths, and they analyze what our paleo ancestors ate, you see the tremendous amount of plant fiber in their diet. They were eating 150 grams of fiber a day. We're lucky if we make 20. They were eating huge amounts of plant fiber. Why were they doing this? Because, as Dr. Dominy noted when he examined the skulls and the jawbones of these folks, in between their teeth are grains of starch. There's starch grains there. And that's the real clue. The reality is that despite the mighty hunter image, the majority of calories that were brought into the ancient Paleolithic camp were roots and tubers gathered by the women who spent all day foraging and pulling up wild legumes and corms and starchy roots and tubers. This is what got us through those tough times. Once again, the women came to our rescue, and they saved the day. But the reality is that our Paleolithic ancestors were starchivores. Most of the calories they ate were from plant foods and largely from the wild starchy vegetables that they ate, along with the wild grasses and nuts, seeds, berries that they could gather. They were largely plant-eating folks. As far as where flesh-eating figured in the diet, it was actually a fairly small part of the diet. Why? Well, first of all, most hunts were unsuccessful. 9 out of 10 times the guys came back empty-handed. They couldn't bag living game on any given day. And if they were fortunate enough to drag a carcass of some poor animal back into the camp, it rotted. There was no refrigeration. Right. And within days, it was a smelly, fetid mess that would actually make you sick if you ate it. So this idea that every meal was based upon flesh and whatever vegetables that they get is a myth. That never really happened. Meat was a relative rarity in the Paleolithic diet. Right. So we have to start with that realization.
Right. So if cavemen did eat meat on occasion, sometimes, should paleo followers, people who want to eat like cavemen, be eating meat just occasionally, or should be cut out?
Fair enough. That's a good point. Okay, so what do we do about these are important questions? First of all, realize that our human body, we are designed, we are plant-eating animals. There is not an issue. We are herbivores. Our simian, our ape-like ancestors, spent 150 million years up in the treetops eating leaves and fruits, and that's what our digestive system developed to digest. And our gorilla and chimpanzee and bonobo cousins are still up in those trees eating leaves and fruits, because that is what our simian primate body was designed to run on.
Right.
And if anyone has any question about this, I please invite you to go to YouTube and find the video by Dr. Milton Mills, M-I-L-L-S, M-D, and his brilliant talk on is man an herbivore or an omnivore? And he compares the anatomy of true herbivores and true omnivores. There is no question we are herbivores in our anatomy. There's no doubt about it. We'll talk about our teeth and all that. We are herbivores. Now, where does meat eating fit into this? Because people could say, oh, well, I can eat meat, and in fact, I like the way it tastes. And no question. Yes, we can. We can eat animal flesh. And there's also no question that throughout history, the eating of animal flesh certainly got us through times of starvation. And if I was starving to death on the African plain a million years ago when there was a zebra carcass in front of me rotting in the sun, I'd probably see if I could find some calories there. That's fair enough. But no matter what role eating the flesh of animals played in our diet before, we have used it up. On every level, it's causing disease in our bodies, it's causing destruction to the environment. We'll talk about that in a minute. It doesn't matter what happened in the past. Now, yes, your body can handle some meat. There's no question about it. But let me snap this into a clear perspective. Your automobile in your driveway, assuming it's not a hybrid, it's a gasoline-burning engine, okay, and it's meant to run on high-test octane gasoline. You can take the gasoline you're putting into your V6 engine, and you can add a little bit of diesel fuel, a little bit of kerosene to it. Diesel fuel is oily, doesn't burn that cleanly, but a little bit of diesel fuel, the engine will still run. You can add a little bit more diesel fuel. Yeah, it'll still run. You can add a little more diesel fuel. Now you're starting to get black smoke out of the exhaust, but it's still running. You can add some more diesel fuel to the fuel. Now it's starting to cough and sputter every time you start the engine. And finally, you can add so much diesel fuel that the spark plugs cake up and the gas line chokes up and the engine's not working. Now, what did we watch? We watched the fuel get contaminated. There was always, from the beginning, a gasoline-burning engine. It was never not a gasoline-burning engine, even though we added some polluting diesel fuel to it. And the same thing, we have a plant-burning body. There's not a question about that. We have an herbivorous body. from our long digestive tract, from the starch digesting enzymes in our saliva to our fingers instead of claws. On every level, we are plant-burning organisms. Now, you can add some flesh, some meat into our diet. You can just the way you can add the diesel fuel into the gasoline-burning engine. But again, it was a herbivorous body from the beginning, even though you can add a little bit of animal flesh to the fuel.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because people do make the argument that, oh, well, if we started eating meat in our diet, if cavemen ate just a little bit, that we evolved to be omnivores, and we evolved to be able to eat meat and dairy and eggs.
But we haven't evolved. Our body is still the same. We still have starch digesting enzymes in our saliva.
Right.
The mitochondria in our cells that create energy, their preferred fuel is glucose, not fat. We are glucose-burning organisms. We are sugar-burning organisms. We have an herbivorous body here. How much polluting animal fuel food you want to put in there, that's up to you. But don't kid yourself that our body have evolved to it. We can adapt for survival time. Yeah, fair enough, we can do that. But don't think that it's a healthy diet that will sustain optimal health throughout our lives. Now, you mentioned a couple other things about how we've evolved, because people feel, I've got to have my meat. If I don't have meat, I feel bad. Okay, What's up with that? Well, what's up with that, I believe, is this mechanism that we're watching. When the baby is 6 months old in this society, still nursing at the breast, still sucking from the bottle, at age 6 months, with all the love in the parent's heart, I'm not saying there's anything malicious about this, but at age 6 months of age, that jar of baby chicken, baby lamb, baby turkey is opened, and from that point on, 3 times a day, animal flesh is slathered on that child's intestine throughout infancy. And by age 3 or 4, they're in the fast food restaurants eating their Happy Meals. They're off to an animal-based diet. Well, you slather animal flesh on the digestive system 3 times a day throughout infancy, childhood, puberty, your teen years, your 20s, your 30s, your 40s. Your body's going to become dependent upon nutrients in that fuel. When you eat the muscle of an animal, which is what meat is, you're consuming preformed muscle nutrients, carnitine, creatine, myoglobin, hundreds of others. Now, your body's capable of making carnitine, creatine, all these things, but if since infancy, those molecules are coming in preformed in your diet, what are your genes going to say? Well, that's coming in preformed. We don't have to make this stuff. And so your genes probably down-regulate their production of carnitine, creatine, because again, you've got a steady supply of it in your bloodstream from 3 or 4 meals a day containing this. But then a person hears our interview or watches What the Health or Forks Over Knives, and the plant-based light goes on. Oh, I'm a plant-based person. Wonderful, great. A lot of things will benefit. Your body will benefit. The animals will benefit. The earth will benefit. But what have you done to your food stream? You've done a 180-degree turn. Instead of low in fiber, as a meat-based diet is, now it's high in fiber. Instead of high in protein, it's lower in protein. Instead of high in fats, lower in fats. Instead of low in complex carbohydrates, higher in complex carbohydrates. And very importantly, all those preformed animal nutrients gone all of a sudden. Now you got to make all of them on your own. Most people can gear up their enzymes and make their own carnitine, creatine, myoglobin, all that stuff. But a significant amount of folks, I think, probably are going to take them a few months to gear up their enzymes, wake up those long sleeping genetic mechanisms. And during this time, they draw down on their own stores of the nutrients, and they don't feel so great. Their energy level goes down. And then they eat some meat, and these preformed animal nutrients flood through their tissues. Whoa, I feel great. I'm a paleo guy. I'm a carnivore. I'm a meat eater. But what have we watched? This is not normal human physiology. This is an acquired dependency that was created by feeding a flesh-based diet to a human infant at age 5 or 6 months of age. No primate does that. No gorilla feeds its young animal flesh. No chimpanzee, no bonobo, no primate does this. We didn't used to either. We used to raise our kids on breast milk, and then what grew out of the garden there. Meat was a relative rarity in our diet throughout American history until World War II. Then we got so rich we could spend all these billions of dollars subsidizing corn and soybeans to shovel down the gullets of animals to make all these cheap, subsidized cheeseburgers. But back before World War II, most people lived on farms. You had pot roast on Sunday and fish on Friday, and that's about it. You ate out of your garden the rest of the week. You ate potato soups and cabbage stews. You didn't be eating meat 3 times a day. You didn't go killing your chickens for buffalo wings every night. You'd run out of chickens pretty quickly doing that. So this idea that we're somehow evolved to eat meat, no, we're not. We are plant-eating animals. Yes, you can subvert the physiology to become dependent upon animal flesh, but I don't think it's a good thing to do. We see all the diseases that befall people who eat a flesh-based diet. So all the way around, people have to be careful not to fall into these, oh, well, we've evolved to eat meat. Well, we've always done it. No, we haven't. And no, we haven't. We haven't evolved to eat it. And we have not always done it. So will a little bit of animal flesh hurt you once a week? Probably not. I would not be honest if I didn't say, yeah, you can probably tolerate that. And some people might even gain some benefits depending on how dependent they are upon it. But it's certainly not essential for human health. And the vast majority of people who choose to get off meat-based diet are able to do so quite successfully. Though some may need to taper off over a few months and gradually reduce their meat consumption. But to think that we are somehow born to eat meat, that we're the carnivorous apes, we're not. We were herbivorous animals. We still are herbivorous animals.
Wow. That was a lot of information. Good information.
So I want to make sense? Does you follow it?
Yes, it makes sense. Okay. It does. Good. It really does. That's good. And now I want to switch gears a little bit to sustainability and talk about if the paleo diet is sustainable for the planet and if grass-produced meat is going to be sustainable over our current industries.
Oh, I'm so glad that you brought this up, Jennifer. That's probably the most important subject. We can talk about whether a little bit meat in the diet increases the risk for this disease or that disease, but by far the more important issue is what the widespread adoption of a paleo diet would do to this planet. I urge all your listeners, please, go to the website of Dr. Richard Oppenlander, and he wrote this superb book called Comfortably Unaware. And so his website is comfortablyunaware.com.
And we can link all of these websites in the description box below.
Please do. Watch his videos, read his book. You will have a ringingly clear understanding that the number one driving force of every single environmental destructive force we face these days, deforestation, soil destruction, water pollution, water consumption, the global warming, all of these are driven by the large-scale industrial production of animal flesh. Think about it. Why are the forests being cut down around the world, the lungs of the planet, to make grazing land and cropland to grow beef? Where is the water going? The majority of water in this country goes to irrigate alfalfa, corn, and soybeans. That's where the majority of our water is going in the times of increasing drought. The water pollution is caused by the pesticides and herbicides off the corn and soybean fields of the Midwest, plus the massive amounts of manure that is produced by millions of animals in these confined feeding operations. That's what's getting into our water. And global warming is driven by animal flesh production. It's not a matter of putting solar panels on everyone's house. People don't realize that on planet Earth every year we breed, raise, and slaughter 70 billion living animals. Every one of them, cows, pigs, chickens, they're all breathing out carbon dioxide. Most of them are belching out methane. They're being fed grains that have been raised with ammonia fertilizers that put nitrous oxide into the air. These are the greenhouse gases, methane, carbon dioxide, and nitrous oxide, and it's coming off the production of animal flesh. People say, well, how about all the cars and trucks? Yes, they put a lot of carbon dioxide in the air, but one, they don't put much methane, which is a more potent greenhouse gas. But I'll ask people, what's in the trucks? The entire agricultural industry is in that truck. The entire restaurant industry is in those trucks. Those trucks are full of fuel and fertilizer and fuel pumps and meat and refrigerants. meat eating has its tentacles into every environmental destructive force we face these days. And as Dr. Oppenlander says, you can put solar panels on everybody's house, you can give everybody an electric car. But if we continue to produce and eat animal flesh in the manner and the volume that we are doing, the game is over. We will not be able to prevent irreversible runaway global warming, and the planet will become unlivable. If there's an epitaph for our human race species, it's going to be they died for lust of animal flesh, because it's something we don't need. And to be eating it 3 times a day, to base your diet on this, like it's doing something healthy, is not only, it's a diet of death. It's going to kill the people who eat it, certainly kills the animals, it's going to kill this planet too. And every time people in the restaurant and they turn to the waiter and say, I'll have the chicken, I'll have the beef, I'll have the lamb, their children's world becomes a little deader, a little hotter, a little drier. We got to stop kidding ourselves. Those animals come from the farm. They come from our future. And it is non-sustainable. There's not a chance in the world that we can continue animal flesh production at the rate we are, and the system will come crashing down. So for the sake of our preservation of our future, our children, our grandchildren, what is being asked for the human species is to make that evolution, no matter what eating was in the past, no matter what the mighty hunt was in the past, no matter how good that steak tastes in your mouth, it doesn't matter. We have used it up. At this time, it is like we've used fishing up. We're destroying the oceans. It's time to see, okay, that got us here. Now we've got to make that move as individuals, as a species, to a plant-based diet, and things will start getting better. The forests will come back, the soils will stabilize, the water will get clear, and we'll have a sustainable world to pass on to our children. So, no, a paleo diet is not sustainable. I find it, if they're saying, yes, 7 billion, 8 billion people on the planet, meat meal for them all 3 times a day, that I find that an arrogant, elitist, unsustainable proposition that's going to lead to the destruction of all our futures. So, no, that reason alone should make people get off the paleo train and go back to a sustainable plant-based diet.
Right. And that is really good to say, because people they might take short showers, they might say, oh, well, I turn the water off when I brush my teeth, the little things, but, it might not even matter in the end if we don't start moving towards a plant-based diet.
Oh, absolutely. The water that goes into one cheeseburger is equal to all the showers you take in a year.
Right.
And so for people to continue to eat meat but take shorter showers, they don't understand the true economics involved there.
Exactly. Thank you. So despite what our bodies are originally made for, despite what cavemen would have or wouldn't have eaten, people will still say paleo diet is healthy. So what are some of the negative effects of the paleo diet with respect to cancer and other diseases?
Oh my. Again, when people adopt this paleo diet, many of them experience some real improvements in their health.
Right.
And because the paleo folks promote some things that I fully approve of. They say no caveman ever milked a dairy cow, so they're down on dairy products. Yay, they're right. Yay, paleo. I think dairy products are one of the most destructive foods in the current Western diet. So yay, eliminate dairy products will do better. They say no caveman ever crushed the fat out of olives and made olive oil to pour on their food, so they're down on refined oils. They're right. There's nothing healthy about pouring liquid fat on your food. Yay, paleo, they're right. And they say that no caveman ever ground wheat into flour and made donuts or coffee cakes, so they're down on flour products. Yay, paleo, they're right. And so if you adopt that dietary style and you get rid of dairy products, refined oils, and flour products, you're going to get leaner and healthier. Yay! So I'm fully in agreement with that, and that probably, I think, accounts for most of the positive features that people experience when they adopt a paleo diet. But as a physician, I have grave, pun intended, reservations about the reality of eating a flesh-based diet. If someone came to me and said, Doc, I want to cause myself a colon cancer. What do you think I ought to eat to do that? Simple. Pack your colon full of meat 3 times a day. Let that rub on your colon wall for a few decades. Watch what that sets off in there. The food we eat determines the bacteria that live in our gut. You eat a plant-based diet, you're going to summon up beneficial Firmicutes bacteria that keep your gut healthy. You drop animal flesh down your gut 3 times a day, you're going to summon up bacteria that eat carnitine. And carnitine-eating bacteria are not your friends. They don't care about you. They turn that next chicken breast or piece of salmon steak into stuff called trimethylamine. And so what? Well, your liver turns that as trimethylamine oxide. This is a molecule from hell. This stuff drives cholesterol into the artery walls and sets people up for heart attacks and strokes. All the fat in this diet, so it's going to be a high-fat diet if you're not eating field grains and legumes. It's going to be a fairly high-fat diet. Well, fat clogs up your insulin receptors and makes people insulin resistant and sets them up for type 2 diabetes. All meat is covered with bacteria from the slaughterhouse, and when these bacteria die and break apart, their cell walls form this stuff called endotoxin, which makes your gut leaky, which allows food proteins to leak out in your bloodstream and set off autoimmune diseases as they flow through your tissues. No matter how good people may feel at the beginning, I, as a physician, have grave concerns that folks on paleo diets are setting themselves up for an epidemic of colon cancer, clogged arteries, strokes, heart attacks, autoimmune disease, type 2 diabetes. In my opinion, this is a diet of death. These folks are opening the door to a Pandora's box of medical plagues that they're going to be very sorry that they unleashed, because they ate a diet not designed for our human body. Your house cat is never going to get colon cancer, never going to get clogged arteries. Mountain lions are never going to develop lupus or autoimmune diseases. They're made for this fuel. But when we adopt the diet of the mountain lion, wrong fuel. It's like putting diesel fuel in your gasoline-burning car, and it's going to cause disease. So as a physician, I'm telling my colleagues, fasten your seatbelts when your paleo folks come in. Be looking for cancers and autoimmune disease and signs of blood vessel disease, because I think this diet is brilliantly designed to create all those medical disasters.
Yeah, and so a lot of people go to the paleo diet in interest purely just to lose weight. Some people say benefit is that you eat less carbs, so your body goes into ketosis. Is doing the paleo diet a healthy way to lose weight?
No, it is not. Now, people lose weight on a paleo diet, for I mentioned. You stop eating oil, dairy, and flour products, you're going to lose weight. Yay! And I'm all for that. And the plant-based diet we promote says the same thing. No oils and dairy products, flour products, etc. We agree with that. But weight loss, before McDonald's went over to China, China was notorious. The Chinese people were noted for eating 2, 3, 4 pounds of rice a day, and they're lean, healthy, skinny, active folks. Carbohydrates have gotten this bad, don't eat carbs, they make you fat.
Right.
They cannot make you fat. Whole carbohydrates in their whole form, broccoli, rice, legumes, beans, etc., cannot turn into fat. The body will not turn glucose, blow apart a glucose ring, and then construct a long-chain fatty acid out of them. It does not work like that. If you eat carbohydrates, you eat potatoes or rice, you will replace the sugar-based fuels in your muscles, the glycogen, so you can keep up with muscle activity. And once those glycogen stores are full, then you will burn that energy off as heat. If you eat a big plate of rice and a couple of potatoes for dinner, your body temperature will go up 1/4 of a degree. You'll get in bed, you'll stick your foot out from under the covers, or you'll throw the covers off, and you'll radiate that excess energy off as heat. It will not turn into fat. Now, people say, I eat carbs, they turn into fat. What they're witnessing, if you eat carbohydrates, especially processed ones, flour products, etc., along with fats, with the meats they're eating, you'll burn the carbohydrates and you'll store the fats. What the carbs are making them fat. It's the fat in the meat that's getting stored when they eat the carbohydrates. But if you're eating a high carbohydrate diet, lots of rice and beans and fruits and vegetables, you wind up nice and lean, and with normal blood pressures, without the diabetes, without the clogged arteries, etc. And weight loss takes care of itself. There's darn few overweight vegans. You eat a whole food plant-based diet, you wind up nice and lean. Your body is not going to turn rice and beans and broccoli into fat. It just cannot happen physiologically. So again, the paleo mythos throws a lot of, don't eat carbs to make you fat. No, they can't. They won't. The fats that you're eating in your diet can get stored if you're eating too much animal fat, but that's another phenomenon altogether. Carbohydrates will not and cannot make you fat.
Thank you for that. Because many people say, well, the paleo diet, cut the carbs, I'm eating meat and I'm losing weight, so it must be the grains that make us fat, not the meat.
Right. But again, we're talking, first of all, on a whole food. I'm not talking about energy bars and granola bars, energy drinks, and all this stuff. I'm talking about big salads, hearty vegetable soups, big plates steamed green yellow vegetables, lentil stews, lettuce bean tacos, and things that are just filled with whole plant foods. You cannot get fat in that food. You're going to wind up nice and lean. And as you should, we should be lean creatures, but you'll get there on a whole food plant-based diet. The name of the game is health, not weight loss.
Right.
You'll lose weight on chemotherapy. You'll lose weight on cocaine. That does not equal health. You'll lose weight on a paleo diet, but does not mean good things are happening in your intestines. Does not mean good things are happening in your blood vessels. This is not a healthy diet. Yeah, it'll produce weight loss for the reasons we spoke about, but that's not the same thing as producing health in your diet. You want to be healthy, keep your diet full of whole plant foods. Yeah, you're going to get lean and healthy at the same time.
Thank you. And so while we're on the subject of carbohydrates, people have been experiencing when you cut the carbs and replace it with the protein and fat that their blood sugar starts to stabilize, which people normally think is a good thing. So could the paleo diet be good for someone who's trying to combat high blood sugar? Would this be helping their disease?
No, people have a real misconception there. When you stop eating oils and you stop eating the refined flour products, you're going to notice your blood sugars go down, and that's what the paleo folks recognize.
Right.
But they don't understand how diabetes works. Diabetes is not a matter of eating too much sugar or walking on high sugar levels for that reason. Diabetes, type 2 diabetes, is a disease of fat toxicity. The fat in the diet accumulates in the muscle cells and blocks the insulin receptors, so sugar can't move in to the muscle cells to be burned from the bloodstream. And these folks who consume these high-fat diets, they're not going to notice their blood sugar. The blood sugar will initially go down because they stop the oils and they stop the flour products, and that's going to lower it. But eventually, these folks all become insulin resistant. These folks start walking around with high blood sugar levels because the fat that these high-fat diets are going to clog up their insulin receptors. So they'll notice that initial dip. But you talk to these folks a year or two down the line on a paleo diet, they'll all walk around with high blood sugars because they've clogged up their insulin receptors. The ketosis, this idea that you're supposed to walk around in ketosis all the time, is simply bizarre. We are carbohydrate burning organisms. Our tongues are meant to find that sweet fruit and starches because that's the main fuel for our body. Now, when there are no carbohydrates available, and again, a million years ago on the African savanna, it might be a week before you get to that next berry bush with fruit on it. And intermittent fasts were probably the rule, and we were forced to go 5-6 days or longer without eating carbohydrate. And our body adopts, and we start burning fat, and we shift into this state called ketosis. These are the breakdown products of the fats we're burning. And to be in that state intermittently is a good thing. And to be in ketosis for 5 days, 10 days, 2 weeks, I think it probably cleans us out and has an anti-cancer effect. I'm all for brief intermittent periods of ketosis. That's fine. But You don't want to stay in ketosis permanently, month after month after month. That's like, it's like passing gear on your car. When you pull up behind a slow truck, you pull out in passing lane, you hit the floor, hit the gas, boom, that wonderful surge of power happens, and you pass the truck and you pull back in the lane. Yay, passing gear. That's great. But if you're in Los Angeles, you don't want to drive to Seattle in passing gear. You're going to burn out your engine if you do that. Ketosis is a state of acidosis. These ketones are acidic. You're keeping your body in a state of constant acid load. That's hard on the kidneys, hard on the liver. It pulls calcium out of the bones. These people are going to experience certainly problems down in their gut with the various strange bacteria they get produced here. There's no rationale for keeping yourself in ketosis month after month. We're Americans. Boy, a little is good, more must be better. Oh, a few days of ketosis makes you feel good. I'll stay in ketosis all the time. No, you don't want to do that. And you don't do that by eating the fruits and vegetables that we were designed to eat. That pulls you out of ketosis. So I'm all for intermittent fasting or a low-fat. You can do a vegan paleo diet. You can do it instead of eating meat. They eat lentils and beans, and it'll get you into ketosis, and I'm all for that for a week, 1 week a month. I think that's a fine thing to do, but but it's no magic carpet that gets you to health by staying in ketosis all the time. It's a stress on the body, and people shouldn't have any illusions about that.
Thank you so much. So before we end today, can you give me 30 seconds of advice for someone who is considering the paleo diet or eating a paleo diet right now?
Stop! Don't do that. It's not a natural. Go look in the mirror. First of all, go look in the mirror and open your mouth and smile. You will notice something. You'll see your central incisor teeth are longer than your canine teeth on the side. Mm-hmm. Then go find your house cat and have her open her mouth. You want to see a pair of canine teeth? She's got some good ones that stick well down onto her lower jaw. If your teeth look like your house cat, absolute paleo diet is for you, no question. Look at your hands. You got big claws for tearing flesh. Go into the butcher shop, buy a big slab of steak, walk out on the curb, sit down and have at it because you're a carnivore. But if you don't have those big fangs, you don't have those claws, you don't have that short intestine that your house cat does, don't be eating animal flesh. We are not carnivorous apes. There is no such thing. And I don't care how people love that taste of steak in their mouth. This is all a rationale because we like to keep that flesh going in our mouth, and it justifies that mighty hunter image. Those are both deadly indulgences to keep pandering to that taste by keeping animal flesh in your mouth, and by pandering to that image that somehow you wind up strong and healthy. That is not the reality. And again, no matter what flesh eating was in the past, it's the 21st century. This planet is on fire. Our health is deteriorating from disobeying the laws of nature. We were given a plant-eating body. We should follow the laws that nature gave us. We need a whole food, plant-based diet. When I see that, the medical problems start melting away, the obesity melts away, the arteries open up, the high blood pressure goes down, the diabetes goes away, the joints stop hurting, the skin clears up. You see that an animal-based diet was at the root of so many of these problems. A whole food, plant-based diet is your ticket to health. I would urge people to see that. Watch a film called Forks Over Knives or What the Health, and you'll have the case made for you very clearly. But don't be seduced by this idea that a paleo diet is somehow natural or healthy. It's actually quite the opposite.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Klaper, for answering all of our questions. I'm going to link your website down below in the description box for everybody to check out. If anyone has any questions, leave them in the comments below. I hope you guys learned a lot and will consider the topics we touched on today when you're considering your dietary choices. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys next time on Vegan with Jen.